Hi.
Hi.
Miho, we wanted to interview you, ask you what are some of the frontline struggles that you're involved with and that you're confronting here in Oakland.
In Oakland?
Well, you know, Oakland, the Bay, nationally, you know,
We were just
global,
talking about me being
globally,
Zainichi.
globally.
Well,
And I just seen that that's what's happening.
one of the things that I'm observing very keenly at the moment has to do with the earthquake relief and recovery where I'm from in Japan. I was a part of the effort that set up what's called the Japan Multicultural Relief Fund, and it was a relief fund set up right in the immediate aftermath of the Tohoku earthquake in Japan, but exclusively dedicated to injecting resources into the ethnic minority and low-income marginalized community organizations in the earthquake region. And so we ended up selecting about 8 organizations ranging from ethnic Korean community groups, the network groups that are serving the homeless, migrant workers, a lot of whom are women and not only have linguistic barriers but also resource barriers at the moment, and also a group that's assisting a former quote-unquote comfort woman, a woman of Korean descent who was kidnapped and made into a sexual slave under the Japanese Imperial Army. And what I'm finding that there's just a tremendous amount of global corporate interest in how the recovery will happen now that it's been, several months after the actual disaster. And U.S. ambassador to Japan, who is a Silicon Valley, businessman, who's all into innovation, newest technologies, is one of the many, many influential people from North America and other industrialized countries that are really, really moving at a fast pace to shape the blueprint for reconstruction of this particular region of Japan. And it's almost like for a lot of multinational corporations, it's a whole new market that's just opened up right in front of their eyes. They didn't have to force the borders open with the U.S. military in the front lines. Natural disasters set up a perfect condition where the people are desperate and welcoming resources and are very appreciative. And so it's very easy to go into these new markets under the auspice of charity and aid and reconstruction, but actually end up unfolding all your sort of efforts in such a way that might simply perpetuate the kind of systemic stratification that's already been in place, or create different forms of stratification amongst the people there. And the reason that I have concerns is that I'm from a Zainichi Korean community in Japan, and so this is also speaking from my personal perspective as a Zainichi, but is none of the minority community organizations are really represented at the table. Do they even know that this table exists? I highly doubt it. There's simply no information pipeline. And so it's almost like two disparate realities. The groups that we're supporting through the fund and through my personal, relationships and political work indicates that we're still focused on immediate relief. Korean ethnic community in that region, for example, has 2 ethnic Korean schools, autonomously run Korean public schools, essentially, that are entirely run by the Korean community residents, because the Japanese government has made sure that the Ministry of Education does not provide any aid that would go to all the other schools in Japan, not only the Japanese schools, but the Japanese private schools, as well as American schools, German schools, Chinese schools, French schools and the like. Korean school is the only school in the entire country that the Ministry of Education refuses to even give accreditation to, much less resources. And these two school buildings, the infrastructure, the facilities, and also the homes of the students were completely damaged. Right now, with the little contribution our fund was able to make, and also the support of everybody else in their networks, they're making like slow headway. But in midst of all of this, the Japanese government has suddenly slapped unilaterally a single-page notice to them saying, we are ordering you to shut down. And this is exactly what happened when Japan colonized Korea and prohibited all of our peoples from speaking our own language, practicing our culture, passing down our traditional practices to our children, because so long as we tried hard enough to become Japanese, we actually can become Japanese. We look close enough. In fact, we don't look any different from the Japanese. And this is exactly the continuation of assimilation policy, which, make no mistake, is a strategy for colonial conquest, right? And so that kind of colonial practice is like kind of emerging in a whole new different way on one hand, and on the other hand you have multinational corporations entering into their new manifest destiny. So that's kind of my observation.
All right, your name?
Miho.
All right, Miho, thank you.